Period. So, Sammy, day 31. You've made it to the final two.
I
How are you
have.
feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking forward to it ending. I feel like making us wait another 5 hours is probably torture, but
Please.
I'm excited. I look forward to the reveal, especially if I win. But I look forward to the reveals and stuff and seeing the outside of the game and everything.
Okay, very interesting. So I kind of want to go over, this end game from your perspective.
Okay.
Hear a bit of kind of how you handled it. Um, so, really kind of starting from like the final five is when I would consider like, oh, we're in the end game now. Like, how do you feel like you've gone through the cycles from your perspective?
I feel like on the cycles, I've basically it's really been like an ending of like the positioning I've built up with it because going in the final five, the original plan was that Michael was supposed to go, which I maintain. I don't think it was in Aiden and Jordan's best interest to cut Michael at that point. I don't think that that would have been the play for them, but it seemed to be what they were actually willing to do. And then the in that case, the what would have been the worst case scenario happened of Michael saving himself. But even then, I end up on the block against Crow, who the same thing applies. I think that there is no logical reason that they should have cut Crow over me. Like it doesn't really seem like the play for them. But I mean, I guess it worked. I mean, it's what I tried to set myself up to do, and maybe it's just because I know what my plans were going forward and I knew like how I've played the game as like strategy. And maybe when I get out it'll be like, "Oh, well, I guess that they should have kept me in." But it just doesn't feel like any it doesn't feel like they were playing like they should have because of the fact that I had positioned myself. So like it was basically just going off of that. Like I would have taken out Michael had I mean, sorry, I would have had taken out either like probably Aiden or Jordan if I had the chance. I'm not as positive I would have cut Aiden, but if I could have cut Jordan there, I mean, I needed him out before the end game, and then I could have at least a shot. But like I basically for final five, I just kind of was there. I didn't get any votes, and I went through. Final four was kind of the same way, where like the other two seemed like they were going to cut Michael. Michael seemed like he was going to cut one of the other two. So again, unless one of them was playing it and going to cut me anyway, I was pretty much positioned that I think there was a very good chance that I was safe at four anyway, unless things went colossally bad. But I was able to go for the veto and stuff like that because there's been comp seven involved like questions and stuff like that. So I mean, I've posted in the private DR especially like parts from my notes during the season, but like I put a heck of a lot of work into those. So I was like, well, this is basically my comp once we had Jeopardy. So I was like, I'm just going to gun for this, and I'm going to take out the biggest threat to me, which would be who can beat me at the final three HOH, which in this case was Jordan. So I just went with that. And then when we got to the final three, it was kind of the same way where like I was able to win the competition off of pretty much the same thing. And then I had to pick like, do I bring the person who I've been super close with throughout the game? And like I've been close with Michael too, but like I'd say that especially going into the end game, I've been much closer with Aiden on a personal level. But I'm like, if I bring Aiden, I think there's a good chance it can come down to a swing vote at best. So I'm like, if I bring Michael, I think I've got a much better chance to win. So I did say in my confessional where it was like the optimal play in a perfect world would have probably been Michael taking me to the end. However, I have less of a game to argue at that point. It just means I don't have to burn Aiden. So like I ended up going for it for that reason because I was like I do want it to be in my own hands. So I went for that and then I cut Aiden and then we have me and Michael here now.
Period. So, kind of circling back, because you mentioned you cut Jordan because you felt like that would give you a better chance for the endgame competitions. Why did you feel like Jordan was more threatening than Aiden in that aspect?
Well, I mean, if we look at it, Jordan's won five competitions. Aiden and Michael have won two. And in the competitions where they have needed to try in them but not won, Jordan has done better as a whole. Like, Aiden won competitions where it was like, yeah, he won two of them, but it was like it wasn't as big of a thing. Like one of his two that he won was a luck based competition in bingo. So if we don't count a luck based competition, Aiden has one comp win. Same goes for Michael. At this point, he had two comp wins as well. However, he had like I'm assuming in this case that I had the if I would have had the option because I mean to have cut him, which obviously I didn't cut HOH, but it would have been the same argument where Michael has two comp wins. One of them was hide and go veto, which was completely luck based as well. So both of my other competitors have one competition win, whereas Jordan also has a luck based competition win in the gift box one. So like that is definitely a factor as well. However, like there's four more comp wins that Jordan has over that. So if I'm thinking in terms of okay, I think that I can beat the other two in comps. I don't think it's a given. Like I think that there was definitely comps where Aiden and Michael could have beat me in, but I feel like on average I could be confident to at least have a good shot against them. I feel like there was a lot of competitions where if I'm up against Jordan, I don't win the competition. So going off of like the results during the game and like the points of like even comparing like when they had to try in competitions, it just seemed like Jordan had the better all around comp game. So I felt like between that and the fact that he had more control over the game to make him a bigger threat at the end too, it just made it an obvious choice.
Of the final three competition. With part one, I'm curious, did you have like a strategy for it? Because I've never seen someone just like really dominate it the way you did.
I kind of did. So my thought process was basically, and it didn't go exactly how I expected to, but it still was to work in that same general way, where it's like thinking about it, like I was like, if I divide into like the 7 rounds, we have like a round, I forget the number off the top of my head, but it was between like 60 to 70 that you have as like your average. So I'm like, I want to start a little bit lower than this because I know that going into these comps, like when I've hosted them, when I've played them, you always have at like one person who will be like, I'm going to go for like a one or something like that, or like something really not like literally one, but something really low. So I'm like, I'm confident that it is more likely that it's going to go on the lower side, and because people are going to want to conserve the money. So I mean the stars. So from there I kept going like slightly up because I figured that what was likely to happen, and this part again is the one that didn't, but because they kind of swapped back and forth, it still worked. I was like, whoever went too high is likely to come back down a bit, and whoever went low is likely to go up. But because I figured that whoever went low was likely to jump up more, I was like, I should go up instead of down to account for that. Because whoever submitted a lot of stars is going to have like less of a pool left. So they are going to want to have the like drop down, but I wanted to be able to secure it there. But I kind of figured that like they would both stay on the same side for a couple of rounds. But again, it still worked with that where it was like I wanted to stick with a like right in the middle like that of like a little bit below the average and slowly creep up to it, because even going to that, if I didn't end it after 5 rounds, if you look at the like how many stars we had left to play with, I easily had the largest amount left. So I had the most flexibility because of it of if this doesn't work, I'm set up well for the later rounds.
So while we're waiting on Sammi to get back, I'll just ask one of the questions that I know she had. So in terms of like, I guess we'll start with the final five. Who do you think each person would have brought in a final two situation?
I think that if we go off of 5 and everyone had their way of like you can pick whoever to bring with you, I think that Michael would have brought. I think that Michael would have brought Crow based on everything he said afterwards and the fact that based on like based on how he's talked during the game, but how he feels about things, he doesn't seem to have that much confidence in his game. So I honestly think that he probably saw Crow as the only situation that he could win in by the end. So I feel like he probably would have tried to take Crow, or in a perfect world, take me without me having won competitions. If I mean, so like if I end up winning none going forward, I feel like with Jordan and Aiden, it's a lot more up in the air because I actually think that Aiden would have taken me. Because of the fact that like I think that he would have been more optimal taking out Crow or Michael, but like he was very on board with cutting both of them. So like I legitimately do think that there's a good chance that Aiden would have brought me to the end if he had the chance. And same with like with Jordan. Jordan is definitely more up in the air. I'm not sure if I would expect Jordan to have taken me or Aiden. I honestly think that because of the fact that Jordan had a good relationship with us both, and apparently seemed to have like on the way out of telling me like basically you have my vote. Like it wasn't conditional on if Aiden went there. It was just like you have my vote. So I think that given that, I expect that Jordan probably would have taken Aiden over me. And Crow is a weird to catch as well, kind of, because I want to say that I think that Crow would have taken me. However, I think that Crow kind of similar to with Michael had been making comments to me along the lines of like that he didn't think that he could win the game anymore. So I think that if he was going for a win, I think he takes Michael. If he resigns to thinking that he's like, I don't think I can win no matter what, I think he brings me and just gives me a win basically. But I think that it's more likely that like if he has the chance, if he's like, I want to try and win this game, that he brings Michael, especially now knowing that like at Final Five they had enough of a relationship to work on things instead of being like hating each other. So I think he probably would have brought Michael to have the best chance of it. But I think that if he was like I just can't win this, I think he would have brought me. I don't see him bringing either of the other two. So pretty much like that. Like I would have taken Crow if I could have, and failing that Michael. I think that Michael would have taken Crow, and failing that me. And I think that Aiden would have taken me, failing that whichever of Crow or Michael is still in. And same with Jordan with taking probably Aiden, and failing that, I guess, whoever happens to be there, because I think he could make a good case against the other three, but probably not me. So probably either Michael or Crow.
Okay, interesting. Now looking at the jury, who do you believe, or how do you see the votes going down?
So based on it, my opinion has changed a lot during the vote. So like I had posted originally a thing, which I kind of stand by for the most part, where I was like, with this final two, I think that for the votes, like Mira, I didn't think that I would have it all. However, like she gave me an actual question, like congratulating me on being there and stuff like that. I think that she would probably still give Michael the vote, especially if Michael's going to lose. I wouldn't be surprised if she would give him a vote anyway. I think that Ryan was the other person who I went into it. Like, I think he's a swing because I know that he had like his pact with Michael and stuff like that, and he was close, but he was also close with me. But he's one of the people who I've kind of changed my mind on a bit because his part in the finale about like where he was talking about both of our games sounds a lot more like he's voting me, because for Michael it was just like, I know you've had stresses and obstacles during the game, but with me, he was making a point of like the fact like you had to go through so much. I have so much respect for you here, like that kind of thing. So like, really sounds like a, hey, I'm voting for you, Sammy, but Michael, you did these things too. Like I was like saying something for both, but based on that, I think I have Ryan. And then going down the rest of them, like I feel like Jordan promised me his vote. I think I have that, no question. Crow, I want to say that I have his vote because like I've been close with him during the whole time. It's harder to gauge him because he didn't like pretty much spell out what he was doing, but he had his question, which was like, okay, well, I'm lack of a question about like his post. So like it'd be cool if he votes me. I really hope he does, but like I'm slightly less sure than I was before. I think that Shanks is probably going to vote me because, like, with his questions about, like, with the what do you see and whatever, I feel like I had a lot more of talking with Shanks where it was, like, the type of thing that he wanted to go for. And I had a little bit of a dig in there where I was talking about the, like, being consistent and knowing that you're here because I knew from my one-on-ones with Shanks that he had talked before, especially about Michael, with how inconsistent he is, where it's like, yeah, if you keep him around and need him, wait until you need a vote sometime in the middle of the day, and he just isn't anywhere to be seen, or he just doesn't give you a straight answer. Um, Blaze, I think I basically have on lock since his question to Michael was basically, "Hey, so just for you to get anything out there, I'm gonna ask you this lowball question." So like I think that's a given there. And I feel like with last year there being Aiden, I feel like with Aiden, I want to say that he votes for me. I kind of felt like it really depends on if he's if he's upset with me with being voted out and if he votes based on that, which is entirely possible. But I think that based on the fact that, again, this is all just based on how things are leaning. I'm trying not to be like confident one way or the other because it sounds like the votes will be in my favor. And if that ends up being the case, and Aiden gets to the jury and sees that that's the case, I think that Aiden would be like, I would see that I made the right call cutting him, since I don't know if it was an act to try and get me to change my mind or if he legitimately didn't think that he was the better winner of the two. But I was like I even told him on the way out, like, if I end up being wrong and I would have beaten you and not Michael, tell me you told me so, because I will deserve it, but I'm confident about this. So like I think that there's a good chance that Aiden votes me as well. I think, again, there's a chance that if he's upset, then I don't get his vote. But I feel like even if I don't get his vote, I think that it's probably like a 5-2 or 4-3 vote. I think if I had to make a guess right now, based on how the jury has talked, I would predict a 6-1 vote in my favor. But again, I feel like it could really go either way with leeway room. There could be stuff I'm missing because like there's an entire jury chat that I've never seen. But like I think if I were to make a guess and without putting too much in on it, so I'm not too upset if it doesn't come true, I think that the votes are going to go like that, and I think that they're going to go in my favor.
Hi, sorry about that.
Hello.
Please. So just to clarify, who's the one vote you think you wouldn't have?
I think that I think that even though Mira gave me like good questions and stuff like that, I think it sounded like a matter of like, hey, you're probably going to win. And like Michael even called it out with like well, that's concerning that I didn't get a GG and a congrats, which like fair. So I get the vibe that like if it ends up being the votes how I think that they are, I feel like Mira would probably still throw a vote towards Michael anyway, because I don't think that Mira would want Michael to lose here like 7-0. So I think that I think at best it'll probably be 6-1 with her voting that way. I think there's a good chance it's secured all the rest of them with a leeway room of like, again, there's a couple of people in there where it's like, if one of them or two of them swap their vote, I could see it. Like the only ones where I'm basically like, I think I'm pretty much certain on is like Blaze and Jordan, and honestly probably Ryan from the way, again, what he posted. But like I think the others, it's like I think I have enough votes, but I could see it going anywhere in the way in between. But if there's any one vote I think I won't get here, I think that Mira will throw a vote Michael's way.
All right, please. So, if, the votes come out and you end up being the runner up, how would you feel about your game on retrospect? Would you look back and feel like you should have changed something, or would you have still played the same way?
The thing is, like, I'd be quite upset, honestly. Like, I mean, obviously I don't sign up to this to want to come in second and lose a jury vote. But like I think that like looking back, because obviously like the last day or two, I mean, I was posting that I literally was reading through my public chat. I had nothing to do but retrospect on things. I think that like I think I can stand by the decisions that I have made this game. Like the early game decisions I made, a lot of it was like building up my positioning. It really got me to the end. It really was able to set myself up how I did. I think that worked out in my favor. My HOH, yes, it didn't get out who I wanted to, but I feel like I feel like realistically, if I would have put up a bigger threat, which I considered at the time, I do blow up my own spot in the game, and I might have made it out of it, but I feel like I had less chance of it succeeding than what actually happened. If I think ahead with like the votes going into the jury, like it's like, yes, I technically could have voted, like could have not turned on Michael or not told him things, but the thing is, Michael still ended up going back to siding with me anyway because it was kind of necessary for him to. So I'm like, okay, well, not much there. And Blaze and Shinx both stuck with me after that. It's like I could have volunteered going up on the Shinx vote, and that would have been a factor. But it would have definitely made finale harder. So I think if I lose this jury vote, I wouldn't have won a jury vote, based on bringing Shinx along further. So I feel like, because again, it's like I feel like that would have made it safer to get to the end. But I already know that in this reality, I do make it to the end. So that safety to get to the end isn't what I needed more of. And like the Blaze move was obviously a factor that happened, where it's like I don't think I could have it was pretty clear from the veto and stuff like that, which Blaze even said was obvious. Like it was clear my involvement in it, so it's not like I can be like, oh, I would have been more obvious about this. And at 4, I could I technically could have cut Aiden over Jordan and tried to go to the end with Jordan, or I could have cut Michael over Aiden. But from my perspective, both of those just sound like ways that I can lose the game by even more. So again, if I get out of this and I do turn out to be a runner-up and I look at it and the jury's like, oh, I really hated Aiden this game, or I really hated Jordan this game, and I could have brought them to the end and sweep the jury, basically, then yeah, I'll regret my decision. I don't expect that to be the case because they both played really impressive driver's seat games, but I think that reality is the only way that I would really have big regrets for how I played, because with the information I have now, I can stand by everything I've done.
All right. And on the contrary, what would it mean to you to be the winner of BBD13?
It would be really exciting to win this, especially because this game was really stressful to me. I mean, obviously there's the part of it being stressful where it's this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Big Brother I could play in, and I've been playing a lot less of these lately, to the point where I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how I ended up on y'all's radar to invite me. I've been curious about that. So just coming back out of nowhere, where I haven't been playing all that much lately, where it's joining a game like this with people, it's I really like these people. It's clear that people are playing. There's a lot of things to shake things up. But not only that, but also the fact that obviously this casting was very difficult for me. So if it's a matter of being able to overcome it, make it through stuff, and be able to make it to the end in a winning position while doing everything in a way that I'm happy with, I would be really proud of my game, and I would be really happy to see myself win.
Okay, love to hear that. And who do you think is going to win Discord's favorite player?
It'll be funny if it's not me or Blaze, because we kept fighting with each other about the fact that it would be. I'm not familiar enough with the community in this one to think. I know that with most communities that I've played in, it's ends up being the people who are more posting meme stuff. And if it does end up being like that with this community, I think that Aiden's got it on lock. Honestly, I think that Aiden still might, but I think it depends, because they could vote based on different factors. I could see because I know that with people who she talks to and stuff like that, I know that Mira makes a big impression on people. So I feel like she could win. However, I feel with the fact that where she did have fighting with a few different people, I don't think it would be her. I could see a world, I thought about a world where it could be Crow, but I don't feel like he was active enough where it would be. I feel if I had to predict for top 3 with it, I could see it. I feel at least some amount of a me, Aiden, or Blaze would be in there, but I feel Jordan very well could be too. And again, there's people like Ryan who could be. I know that actually Shinx could very, very well be on there too. I can very much see that. Honestly, I think it's a tough call. I feel if I had to place money on someone right now, I would place my money on Aiden, but I could really see it going a lot of different ways.
Fair enough. The girls are curious. What was your favorite competition this season?
Favorite competition. I am always going to be partial to Jeopardy. I don't know if it probably isn't my favorite because of the fact that it's something I've played before and stuff like that. But with I even posted at one point in my private DR, I think it was, where I was yeah, the last time I played Jeopardy was a sweep. So I'm please, if I can pick any competition to be in this game, it would be that. But there's a couple of really cool ones. I really actually liked the stars competition for the start of the final 3 HOH. I think that was a really cool one. In my community, with when people try and host stuff, they have a few that they've tried to host to have similar vibes that I've had a lot of issues with, where I didn't feel like they were very good competitions. And I feel like this takes everything that I like about that type of competition and gets rid of the parts that I don't. Um, so like it could be that. I also really liked Bartender. So like there's a few like those are probably like the three that stand out to me the most. I'm just quickly looking through my notes to see if there's like a competition where I'm like, oh, it should be this instead. But like I think that those are probably the biggest ones. That or like any of the like bot competitions where I was like, wait, what is going on here? Like, how is this a thing? But no, I think that it's probably any combination of those. It probably would be escape room in a landslide if I didn't like misinterpret the thing, thinking that it was telling me to go to thinking it was telling me to go to the memory wall for like 20 minutes. But because of that, I have to stick with one of the other three I mentioned.
Interesting. And what would you say was your favorite moment this season? Like, a certain fight or an event or whatever.
Um, hmm. Honestly, thinking about it, like it might just be the entire because of the fact that it was just such a turnaround where it was like basically like I felt secure in the position I needed stuff to happen, and I feel like the entire night of the double, like everything after the Ryan eviction, because that part wasn't good, but like everything after that, like the fact the fact that there was like a different fight going on where I was basically able to be in the middle of it between Blaze and Shanks. The fact that it set up like a double where like the person who I'd been trying to get out of the game ended up leaving. The fact that we had a Crow HOH the same night, like just the feeling of like everything there was just like so much. But especially like the like either that or with the announcement with like the win for like the final three HOH, just because of the fact that like I even though I had gone into it like, yeah, it's okay if I lose, it's fine, because I had so much double down on the fact that's like I want to win this and take myself. I like it took me like 20 minutes afterwards to catch my breath. Kind of to say actually no. Actually on that note, it wouldn't be that. It'd probably be with the week 3 HOH cuz like it did turn around afterwards, but like it was kind of that same feeling where like I basically didn't take a breath during like especially the tail end of that reveal. And when it came to like me and Mira as the last two, and then I was revealed, like I was literally like pacing around my house for like 25 minutes trying to calm myself, trying to catch my breath, trying to be like, okay, we actually pulled this off. So just like the feel, I really like the feeling of like when something happens in one of these games and you've got like that adrenaline rush during it, and then afterwards you're like, okay, this is done. It just kind of passes away. So probably something like that.
All right, Sting. Well, thank you so much for playing. I hope you had a fun season.
Thank you. I did.
Yep. So the finale will be at 10 if you guys weren't already told. So that's when the votes will be revealed, and best of luck.